Shalom, family. Thanks for checking in with Sectarian Wisdom again. I'm your man Eli, and as usual, I am a wise, wealthy, rich celestial being that is loved by the Most High Creator. Let's get it, family. Alright, so family, as usual, we getting in the Kolbrin. Don't worry, we not always going to be doing the Kolbrin. Just right now, I'm trying to get to a certain point because I'm going to do another video. But I need to get through these parts. And like I said, some of these are some long reading. You know, so yeah, some of these chapters. So anyway, last time we did chapter 5. It was a long one, so we only covered it. Now we're gonna go ahead and start off with chapter 6 now. On page 19. Right here in the Kolbrin. Alright. So chapter 6, Dadam and Lud. Here we go, family. May Eva fled for her life. May Eva fled for her life, and many kinfolk went with her. But the dam was unable to follow, being laid low with the sickness. This loosened his tongue, so it became uncontrollable, making him babble like a child. And the sickness covered his body with red sores, from which came an issue. Lud also departed from a place far out in the wilderness. Those with the dam who looked back toward the place of the garden saw bright tongues of light licking the sky above it, the whole being interwoven with flickering flames in many hues. Those who sought to return were repulsed with a tingling ache over their bodies, which increased into a severe pain as they approached, so they were driven away. Oh snap! I gotta say something real quick, family. In one of my videos, matter of fact, I gotta take a note of this. I did a video called I didn't even remember that it said this. I did a video called Wearing a Time Capsule. And I did it based on a movie called Old. And when these people went to this certain place, right, they got trapped. And every time they tried to leave, it's like something happened to them. Like some pain came over their mind and they just start falling on the ground and they pass out and end up back at the beginning. So anyway, give me a second. I got to take a note of this, family. Because this is important for what I need for my next video. I apologize. I know we just started, but that was man, those who sought turn were give me a second, family. I apologize. I'm about done taking this specific note. Okay, this is chapter 6, page 19. Right side. Okay. Alright, family. Here I go. I'm back. Those with the dam who looked back towards the place of the garden saw bright tongues of light licking the sky above it, the whole being interwoven with flickering flames in many hues. Those who sought to return were repulsed with a tingling ache over their bodies, which increased into severe pain as they approached, so they were driven away. When the dam recovered so he could stand, only a few remained with him, and they all moved further into the wilderness to a place where there was water and pasture. There the dam left Herthu, his son, and the boy's mother, with Haberis, the learned, and set out to find Lud. After many days, the dam and those with him came upon Lud and his younglings, who were full of sickness, and slew many. But Lud was not slain, though mortally wounded, and he lay against a great rock. When the dam came near, Lud raised an arm heavily and said, "Hail to the victor and benefactor, who has come to terminate our wretchedness." While the dam stood sternly contemplating him, Lud said, "To kill me now is your prerogative. For even we lesser beings who are far removed from Godmen have the law of husbandly pride. What I did has been done before, and will be done again. But I erred by crossing an unknown barrier, which could not be discerned. For we within ourselves are no more contagious to each other than are your people. If then I must die, let it be for my part in spawning the cankerworms of disease which have stricken both our peoples. Back in the dreaming time, when the great gods strove among themselves. Back in the dreaming time, when the great gods strove among themselves for dominion over the skies. Back in the dreaming time, when the great gods strove among themselves for dominion of the sky spaces, and the wide expanse of earth was rent apart by unearthly wildfire. Bematha was cut apart by the bright arrows of Shemas. Then this land was given to my people as their dominion, while yours was in another unearthly place, far distant. Our domain was a pleasant place. And though you teach that because of this we remained as we are, yet we are content. Oh man, that's another good one. I need that right there. I gotta take another note, family. Hey, I ain't apologizing. Just hold on. You can always fast forward it. That's a good thing about YouTube, right? You can fast forward this part. Chapter. Like I said, I'm making a video, and these are important notes. Matter of fact, that's part of the reason I'm reading it right now. These are some important notes. Was given to my people. Alright, I'm back. Back in the dreaming time, when the great gods strove among themselves for dominion of the sky spaces, and the wide expanses of earth was rent apart by unearthly wildfire. Bematha was cut apart by the bright arrows of Shemas. Then this land was given to my people as their dominion, while yours was in another unearthly place, far distant. Our dominion was a pleasant place. And though you teach that because of this we remained as we are, yet we are content. We know of no great design, nor of any barely attainable objectives to which men must aspire. Such striving, as you know, is to us no more than purposeless vexation. I have my God, and you have yours, and as they strove one against the other before time, so will it always be. But now there is a new battleground with new battle chiefs. I will go to my appointed place, and you will go to yours. And from thence, as leaders of the fray, we shall wage a never-ceasing war. Such is fated and must be. But who will win the fair prize of earth for their king? We shall not strive with clubs and lances, the hurling stone and flying dart, but with more subtle weaponry. This thing is not our choice. We are but playthings of fate. That you and I should head the fray is not because of our qualities, but because we were where we were, when we were. Now we are but two precarious points of life in a hostile wilderness. But what might we be in 100 generations? In other words, this is like a war. The analogy, to me, this is like an analogy. This is a war between spiritual people who have like it was saying, People who have an understanding of the spirit that's within them. People have an understanding of creation. People who have an understanding that once I leave this place, that's not the end. Because this flesh isn't really me. This isn't all there is. I'm an energy source. And once I leave this earth and pass on, I'm going someone else. I'm going somewhere else. And then the other side is, no, this is it. Like, have you ever heard people say, oh, earth? Oh, yeah, this is my heaven. This is all there is. There's nothing else. This is it. I'm good with this. Anybody tell me different, they crazy. Just like now that I understand that a God, I am a God. And what makes me a God is, and that's why I changed. In before videos, I was saying, you know, I'm a God. But now I know that, yes, I am a God. But a God ain't what I want to be. Because I am a God. And I don't like it. I want to be greater than a God. A God is just someone in the human flesh who has a spirit. And now comes to the understanding that, oh, I'm more than just this flesh. There's a soul inside of me. I have a spiritual conscience. I have a soul that once this flesh decays and, you know, dies, falls down, I'm still going to technically be alive. I'm going to just go on. But in a different form, a different matter of existence. Right? So that's a God. A God is just someone who is aware of their godliness. That is aware of their higher spiritual self. Now, what I want to be, or what we should strive to be next, is a celestial being. Now that's where we want to be. That's the, you know, like Yahusha. And it says in the Bible, it says he died on the cross and then he reappeared. He put on his new flesh. That wasn't the flesh of this earth, but it's like a spiritual body that you can command to go into the flesh at any moment if you want, if you so choose. That's where I want to go. Because this human so-called, this God so-called human life, it's for the birds, man. It's getting old, man. It's getting old. All right. The Dam said, these things I know too, for my eyes have always been opened. I too have looked out into an endless plain without any horizon. But I shall lead those who have grown strong through seeking and striving, while those in your ranks will be weakened through indulgence in the flesh plots and pleasure places of earth. We are the disinherited, but not the disowned. We have the seeds of victory within us. You and yours were never more than you are, sons of the easy path, followers of the downhill road. Then when these things had been spoken, Lud died, and the Dam and those with him burnt his body. The Dam and those with him wandered the wasteland for many days, then turned southward towards the mountain. Then it happened that one day the Dam was seated apart in a solitude among rocks, with chin on chest, and a hunter of the Ubalites came upon him from behind. The hunter slung a smooth stone as the man turned, and it struck out his eye. Then the Ubalites slew him by smashing in his head with a stone. This hunter was the son of Ankardu, son of Enanari, king of the Ubalites, by Urkila, daughter of the Chesites. This is known because those who were the Dam came out of the barren places and learned the ways of the builders, becoming great among the Ubalites and raising cities along the rivers. Among them was Inkagal, who built Kirador, which stands between the two great rivers, and Neder, and Balet Shuram Maman, who taught men the ways of writing, setting the letters upon a pillar in Herak. What was his name? Belet Shuramen? Belet Shuram M. Belet Shuramen, who taught men the ways of writing, setting the letters upon a pillar of Herak. Alright, that's the end of chapter 6, family. We're going to go into chapter 7 now. Yeah, this one is going to be a good read too. Oh yeah, that's a good read. Okay. Herthu, son of the first father. Chapter 7. Herthu, son of the first father. Give me a second, family. I don't know what's going on right now. Yeah. Alright. Chapter 7. How long I've been on it? Okay, that's it. Oh, okay. 1441. Okay. 1441. Okay. Alright, chapter 7. Herthew, son of the first father. Herthew, son of the first father. Oh, yeah. Okay, Herthew. Alright. The book, okay, Herthew is the damn son. The damn. My bad. Herthew, son of the first father. The book of beginnings tells us all things began with Verkelfa, therein called Awin Khalifa, from whom flows Gwynn, the energizer, which stabilizes all things, so they maintain their proper form, and Awin, which responds to the molding desires. This is well enough, but men concern themselves more with the beginnings of their race, and ours is rooted in Herthew, the sun-faced, son of the first father. While Herthew was still young, he was expelled from the lush lands where he was born, and he journeyed across the harsh lands in the company and keeping of wise harborists. After many days they came to Crocasis, cradle land of our race, land of mountains and rivers, which is besides Ardis, and they encamped there in a valley. With them were retainers and flocks. Herthew grew to manhood there, and always Harbis was at his side, instructing him in all the things he should know. He taught Herthew the 9 essential disciplines of Emain, and the secrets of the 3 sacred vessels. Herthew learned that there was a place of gloom, where the air was foul, and malodorous, where the air was foul and malodorous breezes carried pestilences and poisonous particles. This was the source of all maladies and ailments, and of the things which cause putrefaction and decay. This place had been closed off from earth, for it existed in another realm beyond the ken of mortals. But it had been brought into attunement with earth when a forbidden act was accomplished. Thus the bodies of mortals became susceptible to influences from the baleful place. To this and similar parts of the other world the wicked would be drawn when they passed through the grim gates of death. But Harborists taught a different conception of wickedness, one where lack of effort, indolence, and indifference to duty and obligations, the taking of the easy path, were just as wrong as actual deeds of wickedness. He taught that men reach a true goal of life by transmuting love into true love. That true victory is gained only over the defeated bodies of their vanquished passions and baser selves. These and many other things were taught by Harborists, but many of his teachings displeased the people of Crocasis, who were then as they were before Herthew's forefathers was led away. So Harborists concealed many things from them and taught by simple tales things within their understanding. He taught them the mysteries concerning the will of the year, and divided the year into a summer half and a winter half, with a great year circle of 52 years, and 104 of which was the circle of the destroyer. All right, family, hold on real quick. I gotta take a note. Give me a second, family. I'm almost done, family. Alright, I'm back. Okay. These and many other things were taught by Harborus, but many of his teachings displeased the people of Caucasus, who were then as they were before Herthew's forefather was led away. So Harborus concealed many things from them, and taught by simple tales things within their understanding. He taught them the mysteries concerning the will of the year, and divided the year into a summer half and winter half, with a great year circle of 52 years, and 104, of which was the circle of the destroyer. He gave them the laws of the will and woe, and established the folk feast of harvest tide and seeding tide. He taught them the ritual of Ule Siddu. This almost sounds almost like Passover or first fruits a little bit from the Bible with the Israelites. But Harborus instructed Herthew in the ways of the other world. He taught him concerning the three rays from the central invisible sun, which manifest all things, upholding them in stability of form. Also concerning the oversoul, which filled everything in creation, as the soul self filled the mortal body. This soul self, he declared, would develop from mortal sensitivity and feeling, transmuted into divine sensitivity and feeling, through suppression of the baser instincts with mortals. This soul self, he declared, would develop from mortal sensitivity and feeling, transmuted into divine sensitivity and feeling, through suppression of the baser instincts within mortals. It was strengthened by the development of feelings of love between man and woman, and between these and their kindred, by the appreciation of beauty and devotion to duty, by the development of all qualities that pertain to humans and not to animals. Herthew learned that the soul self is quickened by soul substances outflowing from the Godhead, that the strong soul is transformed and molded to the soul's desire. But the weak soul is not its own master. It is flabby, unstable, and is pulled into a state of distortion by its own vices. In the afterlife there is unbound joy for the entry of a noble soul. It will glow with splendor and stand out proudly. The mean soul of the wicked is dull-hued, twisted and drab, and being drawn together and being drawn towards its own compatible state, it shrinks into a dark place. When Herthew had barely crossed the threshold of manhood, black-bearded spearmen began to ravage the borders of Caucasus, and Idovar, king of that country, called his fighting men together. And when word came to Herthew, he prepared to depart. But Harborus bid him stay a while, for he was unprepared for battle. Then Harborus prepared a strange fire with stone, unlike any fire seen before. And when it burnt low, he plucked out that which is called child of the green flame, and he beat it out so it became a blade. This he fitted to a horned hand grip, and when it was edged and blooded, gave it to Herthew, saying, But when it was edged and blooded, gave it to Herthew, saying, Behold, this Lana, the bitter, faithful servant of he who strikes hard and true. Then he made a shield of wicker, covered with ox hide, and a cap of hide, which came down over the face of the neck. So equipped, Herthew went to the encampment of Idovar, taking 8 fighting men with him. In those days, men fought with hand-thrown spears and clubs, with flung stones and sticks sharpened by fire. In those days, men fought with hand-thrown spears and clubs, with flung stones and sticks sharpened by fire, and weighted but they did not close, and waited, but they did not close in the battle clash. So when Idovar saw the battle blade of Herthu, he wondered, and it passed his understanding. But when he saw Herthu close on the battle line, and the foemen fall before him, he was amazed. No man about the king could understand the making of such a weapon, offspring of fire and stone. But Harborus made others, and Herthu became the king's right-hand man, and the first hero of the noble race. The king offered Herthu his daughter's hand in marriage, but Herthu declined, saying, "The days of my manhood are not yet fulfilled." When the war-filled days had passed, Herthu withdrew to the place where Harborus made the bright battle blade, and already he had taught the mysteries of their making to others, sealing their mouth with magic. But Herthu was less concerned with the weaponry of war than with the mysteries of life and the battles of the spirit beset by mortality. So while his workmen drew bright blades from the thunderstones, Harborus taught Herthu and his battle brothers, and these were the things they learned from his mouth. Beyond God there is an absolute which no man should try to understand, for it exists and has always existed in a state beyond man's finite comprehension. It is from this absolute that God, the ultimate in all perfection, was engendered. It is from this absolute that God, the ultimate in all perfection, was engendered. To create God first visualized in thought. Then he produced an outflowing wave of power, which in a manner of speaking solidified what might be called building stones. To create God first visualized in thought. Then he produced an outflowing wave of power, which in a manner of speaking solidified what might be called building stones. Forgive me, fam. I gotta get some water real quick. Alright, family, I'm back. Forgive me, I had to To create God first visualized in thought. Then he produced an outflowing wave of power, which in a manner of speaking solidified what might be called building stones. The outflowing power also produced the celestial hymn, which brought the building stones together in harmonious forms. So it is truly said that all creation is the harp of God, and it responds to his song and manipulations. It is an everlasting unfoldment. The voice of God can also be heard in the voice of his beautiful daughter, who endows all growing things with life and beauty. You know what that sounds like to me, family? It sounds like vibrations. Sounds like vibrations. That's exactly what that sounds like to me. The Most High speaks in vibrations. There is a divine purpose in creation, which may be known only to the few. There is a divine purpose in creation, which may be known only to the few. This knowledge is the key to all unanswered questions. Acquiring it is like the drawing back of heavy curtains, which have kept a room in gloomy half light. So all things suddenly become clear and distinct. He who gains this knowledge knows the grand secret, the answer to the riddle of the ages, and knows beyond a shadow of a doubt this divine purpose, and the divine secret concerning it is called Gwenkelva. Apart from Gwenkelva, God gains nothing from his creation, except that as a being possessing infinite love and goodness, he must have something to receive. the gift of love and respond to it. Even among mortal beings, who is there that could find satisfactory fulfillment in self-love also? He needed something wherewith he could contrast himself, some medium wherein he could perform, and this is creation. Creation is also for mortals the school of life, the training ground for godhood. There are three circles of reality, three realms, three stages of existence. They are heaven, where perfection visualized on earth may be realized, and desires and ideals materialize, where hard striven for aspirations are attained. Where hard striven for aspirations are attained. It is the place where all the properly developed spiritual potential latent in man reaches maturity and fulfillment. Earth, the place of training, development, and preparation, the testing ground, the battlefield where men discover their true natures when confronted by life's challenges, contests, and contentions, where competition and controversy are the rule. It is here that aims and objects are conceived. It is here that aims and objects are conceived and thought out for realization, later in the proper place. It is a starting point, the beginning of the journey. It is here that the proper road must be wisely chosen. Then there is the realm of the misty horizon, the intermediate place, the place of spirits where those above can commune with those below, and where free spirits wander within their limitations. I gotta take a note real quick, family. My bad. Nah, like I said, I ain't saying bad no more. Chapter 7. Test for man. Okay. Got that done. Okay, page 22, chapter 7. Okay. Now I gotta figure out where I was again. Okay. Creation is also for mortals the school of life, the training ground for godhood. There are three circles of reality, three realms, three stages of existence. They are heaven, where perfection visualized on earth may be realized, and desires and ideals materialize, where hard striven for aspirations are attained. It is the place where all the properly developed spiritual potential latent in man reaches maturity and fulfillment. Earth, the place of training, development, and preparation, the testing ground, the battlefield where men discover their true natures when confronted by life's challenges, contests, and contentions, where competition and controversy are the rule. It is here that aims and objectives are conceived and thought out for realization, later in the proper place. It is a starting point, the beginning of the journey. It is here that the proper road must be wisely chosen. Then there is the realm of the misty horizon, the intermediate place, the place of spirits where those above can commune with those below, and where free spirits wander within their limitations. These things which Harborist taught in those far off days have been rewritten in transmission. These things which Harborist taught in those far off days have been rewritten in transmission to accord with our understanding, but it is unwise to voice them in these troublesome days, when words become snares to entrap the unwary. Now Idovar desired to learn the secret of the bright blade, engendering thunderstones. But no man who came with Harborist or labored for him would disclose any part of it. And the king was afraid to put them to the test. So having thought the matter out, the king sent for his daughters, and told them what he expected them to do, for he had devised a plan to learn the secret. Then he sent an invitation to Herthu and Harboris. When they arrived at the king's encampment, they found a gathering in their honor, and the king's daughters favorably inclined towards them, one smiling upon Herthu, and the other upon Harboris, who was at the age of hoary headedness. Though at first Harboris was indifferent and wearied her, the king's daughter pandered to him, encouraging even his follies, setting out to charm him with her wit and beauty. It was no great length of time before her womanly wiles ensnared the heart of Harboris, and though he was almost ripe for the surrender of secrets, the damsel's efforts had taxed her, and the game became tiresome. So there came an evening when she could not endure his company in the midst of the merrymaking, when the ale boughs had made many rounds, and the sound of song and story was at its height. She slipped away with a young battleman who attended upon her father. Many who sat among the benches saw this, and whispered to one another, nodding knowingly in the direction of Harboris, who was not unaware, though he appeared to have drunk to his capacity. Harboris had learned to love the young woman, so he was sorely heart-smitten, but within himself he knew the tree of winter love bears only winter's fruit. Yet he made excuses to himself for her, thinking perhaps it was just some girlishness with no more weight than a floating feather, nothing of serious import. For it was true, the merrymaking was better suited to the natures of men than the natures of women. Maybe he thought it is just an innocent indiscretion. So when the day came to its fullness, and those who had made merry went heavily about their tasks, Harboris approached the king and asked for his daughter's hand in marriage. He said, "Your daughter Clara has delighted me with her winsome ways. She has charmed me with her gaiety and beauty. She has displayed much pleasure in my company. Surely I have not misread the signs." The king was not overpleased, for though he greatly desired to know the secret of the bright blade, he had not intended giving his daughter's hand to Harboris, but neither did he wish to offend him. Therefore he was wary in his reply, saying, "It is the custom for any suitor for a high-born woman's hand to be himself high-born and worthily battle-blooded. Yet such is my affection for you that I would not let even the custom become a bar to this marriage. And you may be a battle-blooded man among your own people, but let us not enter lightly into this thing, for the girl is still young, and it would be well if you establish yourself favorably with her. She will be a worthy wife indeed, for she is one who is ever ready to learn, one with an inquiring mind. Nothing gives her greater pleasure than the acquisition of knowledge, so the matter is left." Now some days later, Idovar and his retinue, accompanied by Herthu and Harboris, went to the gathering place for folk feast, some 5 days' journey away. People were accustomed to meeting there every 13 moons to celebrate the season of fruitfulness. First fruits. Many coming a great distance beside the gathering place was the compound of a far-famed seer and warlock called Gwydion, who in the fullness of the moon on the third night would prophesy events for the forthcoming year. Family, this don't sound like a Passover. People coming from far wide just to go to one specific place that is run by a warlock, or another word, maybe a high priest. I don't know. Because technically Moshe was a high priest. And did not Moshe have a staff? Like what? Gandalf? Who was a wizard? Did Moshe not throw down a staff that turned into a snake? And then the same sorcerers in the Bible did the same thing? So did they not do the same thing? So was Moshe not a wizard himself? Or a person who practiced magic? You know, I'm just saying, these are things you think about, family. Idovar and those with him presented their gifts, and took their places beyond the compound. Presently, Gwydon came out cloaked in the skins of wild dogs, with a horned crown and skull-headed staff. He seated himself before a small fire, into which he threw prescriptions, making a cloud of smoke which completely enveloped him. When this had drifted away, he seemed to be asleep. But after a while he lifted his head, then raising himself up, he started to prophesy. He talked a while of small matters, then told of dangers to the people through enemies who would bear down from the Northlands. He prophesied a great bloodletting, telling people they would be saved by a great war leader, a king knowing the secrets of the bright blade, himself a war wielder of one. He exhorted the people to bestir themselves and prepare, wasting no time in finding their leader. No man among the people knew the mysteries of the bright blade except Harboris, but he was not a man of battle, and Herthu was not highborn among them. So, though they talked long, they talked in tangles, failing to resolve the issue. It was then decided each should go his own way, but they should meet at the same place again at the next full moon, when Gwydon would be able to help with their decision. When Idovar returned to his encampment, he was no longer hesitant about the marriage of his daughter, ordering that it should take place forthwith. But he stipulated that Harboris must initiate him and his sons into the mysteries of the bright blade immediately. This being agreed, arrangements for the marriage were put in hand. Harboris and Clara were married, and Idovar and his sons partially initiated into the mysteries of the bright blade, for the king was told it would take some time for the initiation to be completed. So when they next went to the meeting place, Idovar was proclaimed the war leader, with his sons to follow according to their ages. So when they next went to the meeting place, Idovar was proclaimed the war leader, with his sons to follow according to their ages, should he fall in battle. But Harboris had spoken to Gwydon in secret, and matters were so arranged that should the sons of Idovar fall, then Herthu would become the battle chief. The king and those with him returned to their home compound, where they were to prepare battlemen. But Herthu was to go back to the gathering place, and there train fighting men in the battle tactics which brought them clashing into the foe. Now on their wedding night, when they had retired to their bower, Clara burst into tears and fell weeping with her head on the knees of Harboris, confessing she was not a virgin and had deceived him, begging his forgiveness. Harboris raised her up and said, even the wisest of men becomes a fool when his heart blinds him to reason. The older the fool, the bigger the fool. He did not question her regarding love, for he knew she could not love and deceive him. She had given her heart, and with it her virginity, to another. Yet he made an excuse for her to himself, thinking that she had not willfully deceived him, but had acted out of duty to her father. Also, truly loving someone and wishing to demonstrate that love, she necessarily had to sacrifice the happiness and content. Also, truly loving someone and wishing to demonstrate that love, she necessarily had to sacrifice the happiness and content, the self-respect of her husband to be. The choice had been hers to make. It is ever so. Harboris asked if her father had known how things were, and she said he suspected, for am I not his daughter? Thus Harboris found himself tied to an unloving wife, for he chose to disregard the custom of the people. He wondered, was she also to be an undutiful and unfaithful one? Man, family, this right here spoke a lot of volumes, especially with today's world and everything that's going on, especially in Americas or Western countries, between relationships and men and women, and how just our lust and just the way we just go around sleeping with any and everything all the time. It's really just destroyed our morals, family, and we don't even know how to hold a family anymore. We don't even know, we don't even know. Okay, so remember in the first part when we were reading of Dedan and Gwendolyn, I believe Guinevere, and remember what it said. The first issue that I suspect he said the issue was with Guinevere was that she had a cocker child. In other words, she had a child by another man. In other words, she wasn't a virgin. And when a woman isn't a virgin and a man and a woman sleep together, and a woman isn't a virgin, that means she's already, what's the word? What do they call it? She's already pair bond to another man. Which means she's not going to have the same feelings of joy and respect and passion for the new man as she did for the first man. Because there's nothing like the first time. So he made the wrong choice in staying with her. Because you saw what happened with Dedan and Gwendolyn, right? Gwendolyn, you know what I'm saying? Gwen, the one who slept with Lude and basically passed a STD to the whole nation because of them sleeping together, right? So remember, she already came with a child. She wasn't a virgin. She was already sleeping with somebody. And then what do you know? She ended up sleeping with another man because she was not pair bond to Dedan. And just like now with Harboris, what's her name? So now Clara is not, what's it called? She's not pair bonded to Harboris. So she has no respect for him. She has no, what's it called? She has no allegiance to him. And that's not a good wife. So that means she won't be dutiful. So this is just something to keep in mind, family, from the beginning of time. And as I sit here and say this, I'm not one of the men who's going to sit here and be like, oh, but men can sleep around because it's in our blood and we can get many women pregnant. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, for what I've seen, and even from my own experience, yes, I do believe that a man can sleep around with more than one woman. But to sit here and say that he can go all out with it and be just ridiculous, like sleeping with a different woman, if not every night, every other week, and doing this for years and years into his 30s and 40s, no. That's crazy. That's the reason he hasn't. That right there, a man who sleeps around that much is the main reason he has not settled down. I'll put it like, or I'll put it another way. A woman, in my opinion, or I would think even science would prove this. A woman is less likely to be able to be in a stable monogamous relationship the more people she sleeps with. But a man, in other words, like let's say example. Like actually, no, I heard this on a show, another YouTube chat. It's called Pearly Things, and they brought out some studies that says a woman who slept with 5 or more men is now 80% more likely to divorce her husband in the future and not be able to be in a long-term relationship. So, my opinion in this matter would be, women have a much smaller threshold of how many partners they can have before they're just messed up spiritually and can no longer maintain a healthy relationship. An honest one. It's not to say there aren't women out there who play the game and are able to pretend like they love a man, but who wants that? That's wrong. Don't nobody want no woman who don't want them, because eventually, let's be honest, all things come to the light. She's not going to be able to keep it up forever. And then when it finally comes out, what's going to happen? Is she going to take half his money, cheat on him? Or is he going to find out that the children that he been taking the whole time are not his? But for a man, I will say this. I don't know exactly a threshold, because we're still under the impression that men can just sleep around and it doesn't affect them at all. But I would probably say that the threshold for a man is a bit higher than a woman. I might even say 10 to 15. And I think that's pushing it. Because at a certain point, I think even a man, he gets so used to sleeping around with so many women and not having any consequences for it or not thinking about it, that now it's like a part of him. It becomes an addiction. He doesn't think it. Or you hear men say, oh, I can stop anytime I want. Right? Especially hear that from a man who, let's say a person who's about to get married. And what does he tell his boys? Hey man, I'm about to get it in one more time before I get married. And he cheats on his wife on the night before the wedding, right? At a bachelor party. And he says that that's the last time I'm not going to sleep it again. I'm not going to sleep around her again. That is him just lying to himself, whether he realizes it or not. Because that's not how addiction works. That's like a person being an alcoholic and just saying, oh, well, I got to get a job tomorrow, so I know I've been an alcoholic for 20 years, but I'm not going to smoke anymore after tonight. I'm going to get drunk one last time, and I'm never going to drink again. Let's be honest. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen unless that person has like a legit God gift from God where they can stop things like that cold turkey, even something like that, or even someone on drugs. Family, know that it is a gift. It is literally a gift from God that not everyone has to just stop something cold turkey. And especially for someone who can stop anything cold turkey, that's not something most people can do. Most people have to be weaned off of things. So to sit there and for a man to delusion himself and say, or even a woman sometime, to say I'm going to sleep with one more person on my wedding night, or on my the night before my wedding, and then I'll be done and won't do it again, you're lying to yourself. That's not how things work. Men should not be out here being whores, and women should not be out here being, let me not say that on YouTube. I know they won't cancel me for saying the H word with men, because in this world no one cares about men, at least in Western cultures. But if I say that anyway, neither side should be sleeping around. It's not good for either of you. And honestly, and I'm not even advocating that a man should sleep with 10, 15 women before he gets married. That's not what I'm saying. Or gets in a real long-term committed relationship where he plans on staying with this woman for the rest of his life. That's not what I'm saying. Personally, I believe in men are allowed to have multiple wives. But I also think that's not also just thrown out there lightly. Like, I'm not saying any man should have multiple wives or that everybody wants multiple wives. You know what I'm saying? I believe it's certain men and they have certain qualities, and it's not about just being able to have sex with a bunch of women. It's about procreation. It's about building up a bloodline, a lineage. It's about helping each other grow, helping build a village. So if it's just about, if a man has multiple wives just because he's like, I want to sleep with a bunch of different women, that's different. That's not the purpose of it. So anyway, let me keep going, family. But I just want to say that. I just want to make that point when I saw that, where he had to ask, he wondered, was she also to be a undutiful and unfaithful wife? Why? Because she wasn't a virgin when he got with her. So it means she has no desire in him, no love for him, no dedication, no respect for him. I don't like that word love. I don't believe in love. I believe love is just 3 aspects. I believe love is really respect, passion, and joy. So in other words, like I said, she doesn't respect him. So since she don't respect him, she don't have no passion for him in their relationship, which means she's gonna take no joy in him. Which means no, she's not gonna have no love for him. But I'm gonna keep going, family. A woman reserves herself for her husband, or she does not, according to her marriage criteria. A woman reserved for marriage is one unlikely to be unfaithful. A woman easily come by before marriage is no less attainable afterwards. Family, I know I said I read it before. I only read it once before. And like I said, that was months ago. And usually when I read stuff, especially the first time, I'm not going to lie, I'm a speed reader. So a lot of stuff I'll miss until I go back and read it slower. So maybe in the back of my mind it remembered. But to be honest, I didn't even remember this before. Anyway, family, let me go. A woman reserves herself for her husband, or she does not according to her marriage criterion. A woman reserved for marriage is one unlikely to be unfaithful. A woman easily come by before marriage is no less attainable afterwards. For if she says love is the criterion, then she measures by something unstandardized, which may figuratively vary from 1 inch to a mile. In other words, it differs from a man who's 6'2", and a man who is 5'5". She probably gonna love the 6'2", but then the 5'5", she gonna be like, I love him, but I don't love him like the 6'2". A man declaring his love may have seduction in mind, or a lifetime of protective devotion. The marriage proposal determines the difference and establishes the intent. After the marriage, the king showed little concern for Harborus, for he kept Clara's young battleman in his retinue when he should have dispatched him elsewhere. Nor did Clara maintain the restraint and decorum which dignifies wifehood, except in their outward manifestations, which is no more than a deceptive crust disguising the polluted love beneath. Thus Harborus bore the shame of belittlement in the eyes of men, for Clara was furtively unfaithful. For Clara was furtively unfaithful. Harborus visited Herthu, and on his return told the king that he and his sons would now receive their final initiation. So having made preparations, they set off, accompanied by Clara, to the place of the thunderstone. This being a deeply cleft mountain, wherein there was a large cavern from which flowed a river. Entering the cave, Harborus told those with him to bide where they were, for only Idovar and his sons and Clara were to accompany him into the place of initiation. A small cave entered through a long narrow passage closed off by a heavy door, and lit by a fire already prepared, a fire which burnt tardily with a blue flame. When a length of time had passed, those who waited without grew uneasy, but it was long before they approached the door, and when they did, their throats were seized. So they were affrighted and fled, and one among them died. Then those who knew the mysteries of the thunderstones came and cleared the way, and all within the cave were found dead. Harborus did what he had to be done. Harborus did what had to be done. For though it is well for men to conform to the laws of men, there is a super law by which men who are men should live, and which sometimes decrees that they must die. Herthu married the daughter of Idovar, and they had a son. Herthu married the daughter of Idovar, and they had a son who died in the 7th year. Idovar's daughter died in childbirth. The invaders came and were defeated with a great slaughtering, and Herthu became the first king over all the people of Caucasus. Okay. Alright, family, I'm done. Okay, yeah. Hold on, I was going to make sure. I didn't realize I read it that fast. Okay, yeah. All right. So next time, family, we're gonna pick up at chapter 8. I'm done right now, family. I'm just letting you know. And besides, you probably done too. You've been listening to me for an hour. So anyway, family, as usual, I'm your man Elijah. Thank you for coming to my page, Sectarian Wisdom. And as usual, I am a wise, wealthy, rich, celestial being that is loved by the Most High Creator. And we got it, family. Catch you later. Shalom.